Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're flying into LaGuardia, Kilo Lima Golf Alpha, and we're going to be doing the Expressway Visual for Runway 31. I did it on a stream a few weeks back, or a couple of months ago, and actually really enjoyed it. It all happens quite quickly, and of course you're flying in past Manhattan as well, so really cool. And I'm going to show you guys how to do it. If you want to give it a go, then let me know how you get on in the comments below. I hope you find the video useful, and if you enjoy it today, please do click the subscribe button down below. So, as we are at the moment, we're at 10,000 feet, and we're about to start our descent. We're actually within the star itself already. We're flying the Milton Fort arrival into LaGuardia, and we're well into it now. So we're passing a waypoint called Beauty. We have to be at 10,000, and now we're descending down to Dreams, Apple, and so on and so forth. So into the flight deck, we've got a slight bug with the simulator where it's trying to send us all the way back for some reason. So ignore the line that you can see on the left of the nav display, and you can see there we're coming up to Harlem and Dreams. We've got the latest METAR data put into the MCDU as well. Really nasty day today, but if I turn the map on, there you go, you can see our position there. Passing Harlem, there's a hold there, then to Dreams, then to Apple, and then you can see Manhattan just here, flying up towards the airport. And from Apple we can expect radar vectors to the final approach course. We're going to need to tune the Kennedy VOR 1159 and the LaGuardia VOR of 113.1. So let's do that now before we look at the rest of the things we need to do. So 113.1, and we want 115.9, which is the JFK VOR. So then, looking at this, we want to go onto the arrivals approach tab. This is Navigraph, by the way, and we want the Expressway Visual. So from Apple, radar vectors to take us up to Prospect Park as a visual reference point, overfly that, and we're flying on a basically a track of 045 degrees to dials, where we then break off and follow the Long Island Expressway down below. Sweep in left turn over City Field, descending, all of this manually done with autopilot off, and then touchdown. So it's all going to happen very quickly. We can use the ILS there. We can standby tune that if we need to, if the VOR is going to break, but we're in Microsoft Flight Simulator, so there's no reason to do that because the LGA VOR is always available. And we're going to look out for the twin white tanks. All of this is going to make sense shortly, and our weather minimums is 3,000. So into the descent, into the approach tab, you can see the weather at the moment, really nasty. 3,000 into the MDA, and for flight planning I've actually gone in and selected the arrival for RNAV runway 31, and I've chosen the RNAV Zulu because it sort of takes us up to where we want to go. So we're going to stick with the RNAV that I just mentioned, and we've got our frequencies in there, LGA and JFK. Let's turn those on, get them on standby, and if we select approach phase now, because we're just about to hit that decel point. So as we descend, we need to discuss this a little bit more. With the visual Expressway runway 31, you get a bit of an information page at the bottom here. So when cleared for Expressway approach runway 31, while on the LGA VOR radial of 225, cross dials at 2,500 feet or above. Turn right at dials on a heading of 085 and descend runway 31 via the Long Island Expressway and Flushing Meadow Park. Use the LaGuardia runway 4 localizer for course guidance when the LGA LaGuardia VOR is not available. So course guidance, we're going to use the LGA VOR 045. It's going to help us out if we put it in. So 045 course, and then we will end up with the course needles. So again, we're going to be entering via Apple, and then we're going to fly a track of 045 up to Proud, and then from Proud we're going to continue on that track. We're going to try and line up with the VOR course needle if we can for this. And naturally, if we're on VATSIM, as I was for an event a little while ago when I streamed, we got radar vectors all the way around Manhattan and then up to the Visual Expressway. We got asked to report visual with the 2 white tanks. So it's important we look out. We're on live weather at the moment, Microsoft Flight Simulator. So coming in from Proud, over Prospect Park, lining up the course needle for a track of 045 up to Dials, and then we're looking for the expressway, the motorway if you like, for those of you in the UK like I am. We're looking for that motorway, the Long Island Expressway that takes us up, and it gives us a bit of a visual indication, a line almost to follow with the aircraft, and then when we see City Field, descending turn onto the runway. We know when to turn because we will also have a radial to the Kennedy VOR of 317 degrees. So when those two match up, the Kennedy VOR of 317 track and the LaGuardia VOR track of 044, when both of those connect almost at a 90-degree angle, that's our indication that we need to be turning right. But crossing at or above 2,500 for the twin white tanks. So, it's the final step down. Flaps 1. You can see LaGuardia up ahead. All the way up there. And Manhattan. Let's go auto brake low. Arm the spoilers. Cabin secure. Lights as required. Okay guys, so cut a little bit further into the approach. We've gone flaps 1 and we're activated approach phase, and we're just passing Apple now. So we're going through 3,500 feet, we're aiming for 2,500 before we sort of get to Proud. What we want to do now, because we don't have dials in the sim itself, we want to monitor that VOR course needle, and we can see we're 15 nautical miles from LaGuardia Airport. So, coming up quick. Flaps 2. We want to be fully configured before we get to dials. Dials is 4.9 miles from the VOR station, and we get that by looking at the charts. So you can see, if I zoom right in for you guys, DME 4.9 at Dials from the LaGuardia VOR. So that helps us plan distance and work out what we're going to do. So we've only got 8 miles or so left to go. In the performance page, our approach speed's 125 knots, 129 knots, and landing speed at 119. Leave the approach page up. I'm actually going to go to track FPA mode. We're at our minimum, well, we're below our minimums, however we are visual to ground, and in the distance we can actually see the airport. Only just. So we're looking for Prospect Park, which is ahead of us, and we're then going to be looking for the twin white tanks. You can sort of see the threshold for the runway and some approach lights there. Prospect Park, and the 2 white tanks that were on the... there they are. They're just starting to render in now. So the twin white tanks, Prospect Park. Just as we pass the twin white tanks, we know we will be going... let's just make sure we don't lose this, because the sim has taken us back somewhere else. Flaps 3. We want to keep the twin white tanks to our left. we've got a really strong crosswind. You can see there, 23 knots. Gear down. Three green. There's our crosswind. We can come to the right a little bit because we're not actually that well aligned. But we're at 2,500 foot. That was our target. We have to be at that altitude or just above by the twin white tanks, and it certainly helps. Having done this a few times now, it helps to be at 2,500 foot. There's our two white tanks, our twin white tanks, and soon we should start to be able to roughly see the expressway, the Long Island Expressway, cutting up over this sort of direction here. And we could be looking for Citi Field, which is a big stadium. That's going to be around here somewhere. We can't quite see it at the moment, but we'll see it as we get a little closer. Full flaps. Final approach configuration. Always looking at the ground. You can see how the JFK VOR needle is starting to swing round to the right, and we're waiting for that to be the tail of it to be about 317. So it's almost there. It's 310, 320, 317's about here, and that will show that we're crossing the two white tanks. You can see the expressway taking us off up that way, and we can now see Citi Field as well. So, final stage of this procedure. Definitely just flicked a switch, not quite sure where. VOR. Autopilot off. Turning to fly the expressway and just getting the nose down ever so slightly, just to initiate that descent. And this is our final approach. There's the expressway. Flying along that. This is our great visual reference point. Bear in mind as well, crosswind. So you can see on the primary flight display the bird showing us that the aeroplane's sort of going off in this direction, so we're trying to take that into account. And it's also going to affect our final approach turn as well as we land, as we start to line up for the runway itself. Nice descent of around 800 foot per minute roughly. And I'm letting the crosswind sort of take us ever so slightly to the right hand side of the expressway. But ideally, if you follow it bang on, you're going to be pretty good. You can see Flushing Meadow Park directly ahead of us, and Citi Field Stadium, which is just there. Although they are rendered rather horribly today. Looking a bit high on the profile, looking at the runway ever so slightly, so I'm just bringing us up to about 1,000 foot per minute. This is constant readjustments, tweaks. And I tend to use the ball here as a nice visual cue. We can see the runway. There's Citi Field Stadium. Turning. Nice gentle turn. Remember, if this was in something like the Aerosoft CRJ with no auto throttle, it could be quite playful for us. Passing the stadium. Make use of your view. Reset the view for final approach. Ground speed's only 110 knots because of the strong sort of gusty crosswinds that we've got, or headwind as it is now, actually, rather, I should say. And we're down. Little wobble. And we'll come off of this high-speed exit. So there we go, guys. The Expressway Visual Runway 31 into LaGuardia. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video today. Please do hit like and subscribe as well if you haven't done so already. Join us as a frequent flyer. Check out my live stream schedule as well while you're here, and have a little look to see when we're going to be going live in the very near future. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you give it a go as well, let me know how you get on. Thanks for watching.